What the hell? Why does my cat keep bringing me dead birds? One would think it's because he's a killer and he likes to hunt. But if you ask me, I think there's something more sinister going on here. Let me explain. His name is Mr. Fluffington, or Mr. Fluff for short, and he looks like this. Fluffy and cute, right? Fluffy. Well, don't be fooled by his looks because he's actually a serial killer who uses explosive bubbles to hunt his prey. Yes, explosive bubbles. How does a cat do that? Well, I don't know. All I know is that I found him one day covered in blood and I had to clean it off with a 120 bubble bath. And since then, he's been making these weird gurgling noises and blowing stuff up left and right. It all started when I was taking a shower. I heard a loud pop and saw a big bubble in the water. I thought, maybe the new shampoo creates bigger bubbles. But then another one popped and then another one. What the hell? That's when I saw him standing at the edge of the tub, staring at me with a big grin on his face. He looked like one of those creepy cats from that one Japanese horror movie. You know, the one where all the cats attack you and then rip out your eyeballs and eat them? Yeah, he looked like one of those cats. Except he wasn't grinning. He was actually baring his teeth. His eyes were also glowing red. But before I could scream, he jumped into the water and started playing with the bubbles. When I finally got out of the shower, I found this dead bird on the floor. It must have flown through an open window earlier, but why did he bring it in? Was he trying to play with it? Maybe. But the next morning I found another dead bird, and the same thing happened. He brought it to the bathroom, jumped into the tub, and started blowing bubbles. I should mention that these bubbles weren't the normal kind either. They were huge and filled with blood. So I quickly grabbed some paper towels and went over to the tub to get a closer look. That's when I saw the blood coming out of the drain. It wasn't just blood. There were also feathers and chunks of flesh. I was about to call the police, but then I found this note on the floor. I picked it up and read, "Don't call the police. He's just playing." Okay, who wrote this? Was this a sick joke played by one of my friends? But then I remembered. No one had come over yesterday. This was no joke. That night I heard scratching sounds coming from the bathroom. I slowly opened the door and saw him standing on the sink, a bloody meat cleaver in his paws. He looked at me and smiled, then dropped the cleaver and jumped into the tub. More blood came out of the drain and bubbles started filling the room. I tried to run, but it was too late. The bubbles had spread everywhere and they were getting bigger by the second. They floated over to me and enveloped me in their sticky, bloody embrace. I tried to scream, but it was no use. The bubbles burst and I was covered in blood. And that's when I woke up. I was soaked in sweat and shivering uncontrollably. It was just a dream, thank God. But when I went over to the bathroom, I found more blood and feathers on the floor. And that's when I knew my nightmare had just begun. Mr. Fluff sat on the toilet as if nothing had happened. He looked at me and meowed innocently. Then he jumped off the toilet and walked away without a care in the world. He may look like a cute and fluffy kitten, but don't be fooled by his looks. He's a ruthless killer with a taste for blood. And if you ever hear a cat meowing in the middle of the night, just remember, it might not be a friendly hello. It could be a warning that the nightmare is about to begin. A nightmare filled with blood, explosive bubbles, and a killer cat.